Okay, so I think we'll get started now. My name is Jill Ortman, and I'm a college counselor at Smart City Kids, and I'll be your moderator this evening. I'd like to thank you all for joining us for our webinar on women's colleges. One of our goals at Smart City Kids is to serve the greater community by bringing students and parents accurate and up-to-date information on topics ranging from parenting to college admissions. We're fortunate to have Caterina Costa, Director of U.S. Admissions at Mount Holyoke, and Christina Guevarda, Assistant Director of Admissions at Smith, with us this evening. They're going to provide you with insights into their institutions and discuss the benefits of choosing an all-women's college. If you have questions, we ask that you type them in the question box rather than the chat box. So let's start with Caterina.
Thank you, Jill. Good evening. Good evening to our guests. My name is, thank you for the brief introduction. So as Jill said, my name is Caterina Costa. I'm the Director of U.S. Admission at Mount Holyoke. I'm finishing up my 15th year at the college, so I've been there a little while. And I want to give you just a brief overview of Mount Holyoke for those of you who are less familiar. Of course, my colleague on this call and I have some things in common because we're both part of the 5 College Consortium, but I'll start and talk a little bit about Mount Holyoke and put us in the context of the 5 colleges, and it also just give you a sense of what's unique and different about us. So Mount Holyoke is the first of the 7 sisters. We were basically founded at a time when women did not have access to an education and they were not allowed into the Ivy League, almost 200 years ago. We today are a gender diverse women's college, and we accept applications from trans and non-binary individuals. And we have a student body of just under 2,200 students. We're in a town of that's called South Hadley, Massachusetts. It's like a small New England town in the 5 college area. And I'll chat a little bit more about that in a moment. There are 3 things I would want to highlight when it comes to Mount Holyoke as an institution. The first is our academic experience. We offer a phenomenal classroom and academic experience. So Mount Holyoke is very focused on rigor as well as collaboration. So our academic environment is not cutthroat competitive at all. We're the kind of school that curious, bright students seek out who also want the kind of atmosphere that doesn't offer peer-to-peer competition. So as far as the kinds of things students study in our college, we are very wide-ranging. So we offer majors across the curriculum, and the way that our student body is divided, it's that we're about 1/3 in the humanities, 1/3 in social sciences, and 1/3 in STEM and science. And in fact, we offer a very robust research program to go along with the academic experience too. And that's across the curriculum. Sometimes people think of research, they think STEM and labs, but in fact, our students are doing research in the social sciences and the humanities and so on. So we offer funding for a paid internship or research experience that's unpaid during the students' 4 years at Mount Holyoke as well. So we, as a liberal arts college that obviously cares a lot about developing the student, we put equal effort into getting the students to think about connecting what they're learning to what's going to come after graduation, right? So what we call curriculum to career experiences, such as internships and research. So the second thing I'll mention is that we have an incredible sense of community at Mount Holyoke. So for students and families who visit us, it is what they say almost, most often that they remember about our campus. It's how they felt walking around. They felt welcomed. It's a warm, friendly place. It's one that challenges our students, but that also makes everyone feel a sense of belonging. And that's something we really pride ourselves in. We have an extraordinarily diverse student body. I would be remiss if I didn't mention that just about 1/4 of our students are international and come from schools outside of the US. And then we have another 26% of our student body who identifies as BIPOC and go to school in the US. 16% first-generation college students, and over 60% of our student body is on some form of need-based aid. And so I mentioned those statistics to give a sense of some of the visible ways and the less visible ways through class background that we craft a class of students from all different walks of life, really. And the third thing that I'll mention is the 5 colleges, right? So we're part of this amazing, wonderful consortium of schools called the 5 colleges. Smith is one of our partner schools. So the 5 College Consortium is a group of 5 schools: Smith and Holyoke, Amherst College, and Hampshire College, both co-ed liberal arts colleges, and the University of Massachusetts at Amherst, which is our state flagship university. And that university has over 20,000 undergrads. Together, the 5 schools make up 30,000 undergraduate students, and we have a very long-standing and deep-rooted partnership wherein students can take courses at any of the 4 schools in addition to being an enrolled student at their home institution. And that is something that happens regularly, actually. Many students take courses, at least 1 or 2 courses off campus at one of the consortium schools throughout their 4 years in college. We have a wonderful bus system that connects the 5 colleges that runs 7 days a week. And we also have ways that the schools collaborate outside of the classroom. So many of the activities and clubs are open to all 5 college students. So for example, theater production auditions, as someone who's interested in performing, whether you're a theater major or not, you can audition for plays or musicals at any of the other 4 schools if you're a student at Mount Holyoke. Dance performances and things like that, dance troupes, and like I mentioned, clubs and organizations as well. So a lot of collaboration is happening in the classroom, outside the classroom. But even beyond that, the 5 colleges are a social hub and really a space that students find culturally vibrant, fun to go to school in. You meet extra people outside of your home campus, and that just gives you more options in terms of what to do on any given Thursday night, Friday night, weekend night. And for our students, they consider it an extended family, right? So every student decides how much the consortium is going to be a part of their experience, and they can define that for themselves, but the opportunities are there. So I think with that, I'll pause and toss it to my colleague, Christina. Jill, does that sound like a good summary? Okay, I think you're muted.
I was muted. It sounds like an excellent summary, and we will go ahead and ask Christina to speak with us.
Okay, awesome. Well, it is so nice to be here with you all today. Like Jill said, my name is Christina Guevara, and I serve as the Assistant Director of Admissions, specifically working on the Diversity and Access Recruitment team. I have been here at Smith for a little under a year, so I am happy to be joining you all, and it has been such a pleasure to be at Smith, and I'm excited to talk to you all a little bit about it today. Like Katarina said, a lot of what I could say is our participation in the 5 college consortiums. So I'm really thankful for the beautiful overview given to you all. And Smith students love participating in the 5 colleges, and many are often taking the bus to go to a club or a gathering in addition to taking classes. So I think that that point is especially important to note, because it's not just the academic community that you get. It really is just such a huge community that students have access to. So just to start us out, Smith College is and also gender inclusive, historically women's college. We are located in Northampton, Massachusetts. We have about 2,400 undergraduates on campus, and at any given time, you probably have 100 to 150 students studying abroad. We have about 20% of students who identify as first generation, and about 20% of our students identify as students of color. And then another 14% are international. Some things that I would like to leave with you are a couple of different things. So to speak first about our academic profile, We have an open curriculum, which is unique to Smith. There are fewer than 10 colleges and universities in the US that have an open curriculum. And basically what that means is that there are no general education requirements that you'd have to take when you come to Smith. There is one required course during your first year. You would be taking one writing intensive course, which could be a first year seminar or a variety of other classes that you also get to choose. A major usually requires 10 to 14 classes, and you're probably going to take around 32 courses while you're at Smith. So the other, quick math, 20-ish are really courses that you get to decide on your own. This creates an incredible classroom experience. I'm sure that, I know I have. I'm sure a lot of you have been in a classroom with people who really don't like the subject that you're learning about or don't really want to be there. And I think that there's something really special about being in classes where everyone has actively chosen to be learning the course material. So that is really exciting. We have over 1,000 classes at Smith, and then a note about the 5 colleges. You also have access to what ends up being like almost 7,000 classes. So being able to choose is such an incredible gift, but you're not alone. I know that that can seem a little bit overwhelming to choose out of so many options. We have incredible liberal arts advising. When you first come to Smith, you would be paired with an advisor who really helps you shape your course load based on your interests and based on what sort of questions you're hoping to ask. So just in general, for those who are considering college and what you want to study, just think about the questions that you're asking now at school. When you come to Smith, those are the sort of questions that you bring to your liberal arts advisor, and they really help you find the path that would help you get those answers. So a lot of our top majors are similarly to Mount Holyoke, spread among the humanities, the social sciences, and then also STEM, pretty much breaking down to that 30-30-30, with that extra 10% being interdisciplinary studies. Many students major in psychology or sociology, and we have a really strong engineering program. So those are a few of our more popular majors. Second, I would like to know about our housing. So at Smith, we don't have dorms. We actually have 41 self-governing houses, self-governing meaning that there are no Smith staff who live in the house or run the house. There is a team of student staff who, there's a house president, a board of house presidents, and they help shape the 41 unique environments that we have at Smith. Many of our students find true community in their homes. That's the first place where you really start to meet people when you come to college. And something that is special about our housing is that it is not separated based off of your year. So when you come as a first year, you are immediately connected to upperclassmen who can help you navigate what truly is probably the biggest transition up until this point in your life. And there's a really special bond that can happen. Some students stay in the house for all 4 years, but many do move between one house and the other. This could be a great place of community, but we also have incredible extracurricular options and other places where students find community. So it doesn't have to be an end all be all, my house is everything. We have athletics and other special interest groups. So we have definitely a tight knit community at Smith, and definitely just really unique environment. Our dining is decentralized. So we have about 10 different dining halls that are in select houses, and students are able to go to any of those for any of their meals. So if you like what we're having for breakfast at your house, you can go there. But then if you don't really like what you're having for lunch, you're free to go to the house a few doors down and grab some lunch there and meet your friends all over campus. So that is also something that is pretty unique about the Smith experience. And then I would also just say that we have, when you are a Smithy, you are connected to an incredible history of women who have come and done amazing things. So many of our students go off to get a master's or a PhD, and about 73% of our students after graduation report feeling extremely satisfied with their career path, which is about double the national average for college graduates at this current moment. We have an alumni network that truly spans the entire world. Pretty much wherever you are or will be, there is a Smithy who would love to connect with you and let you sleep on their couch if you're traveling, or connect you with a unique job or internship opportunity. We have an incredible career development office that really helps students, in addition to our advising, pave a path to accomplish the goals that you're looking to accomplish. And so we also have that same sort of paid internship process that we give scholarships for students. If you find an internship that you really love, but maybe it doesn't pay that much, or maybe it doesn't pay at all, we never want that to be a deterrent for our students. So overall, Smith has a lot of special things about it and a lot of unique opportunities in terms of community and in terms of academics. So I think that that is a general overview, and yeah.
There, turn on my microphone. Well, thank you both. I think you've given us a good idea of what your institutions are like. In terms of applications and gender, is it based on how a student identifies, or how are you determining what accepted into your programs?
I can answer that. I think we're a little bit different, so, but I'll let Christina represent Smith. So the simplest way to describe Mount Holyoke's policy for who is eligible to apply is that really anyone is eligible to apply unless you identify as a cis man.
Okay.
So
pretty broad.
All other individuals are welcome to apply.
Okay. And
at Smith, when you are applying, we do have a sort of like an affirmation statement saying that I identify as a woman. And so we do have trans students and non-binary students as well. And this idea of this affirmation of womanhood is a part of our process, but at this point, it's mostly just the click of a button in the application and continuing through.
Okay, thank you. So when a student is considering a women's college, how do students distinguish between or among the Seven Sisters as well as the additional schools? Some of the Seven Sisters are now co-ed, correct?
That's right. There are now 5 of the original 7, 2 lost sisters, or sometimes people say. Vassar College, formerly one of the 7 sisters, and Radcliffe College, which was essentially annexed to Harvard, and it was subsumed under Harvard, and it became like a women's study research center. So the 5 remaining sisters, in addition to the 2 represented here tonight, of course, are Wellesley, Bryn Mawr, and Barnard in New York City.
Right. And so each one of these schools has its own flavor, its own distinguishing characteristics. What is the key difference between your 2 institutions, would you say?
Christina, do you want to start? So this is like top 3 questions that I get, maybe the same for my colleagues. So I can say,
I'll let you kick it off.
You want me to kick it off? Okay. It's a really common thing. The first thing I tell students who are looking at both Smith and Mount Holyoke, or maybe even some of the other sisters that I've mentioned, is that's wonderful. You are among a select few 2% of high school students consider women's colleges, and many are now historically women's colleges, but it's an incredible learning experience, incredible 4 years. So great, I'm always thrilled. And then of course, then the family will say, but that's not what I want to hear. I want to hear what the differences are among you all. You know, I'd like to start off by saying that I think every college has a different personality. And that's going to be the case whether you're applying to co-ed schools, a mix of schools, whatever it might be, right? So I think, so the quick answer, you know, we have some distinguishing details. I'll rattle off a couple. But at the core of what's different, I think, is the feel of the place. But that's, again, going to be the case, you know, that you're going to have a different feeling when you step onto any college campus, if you're able to visit in person or even visit a website, interact with students, and so on. So some of the things that are sort of on paper a little different between us, I think Christina mentioned one of them. So Smith actually has a fully open curriculum. Mount Holyoke has some distribution requirements. We have very few, so we ask students to dabble, like to take one humanities, one social science, one math or science by the time they graduate, one semester of language. And it's really, that's all in terms of our distribution requirements. We want students to have some breadth and exposure, but not to feel limited, like all their choices are preset, right? You know, which I think Christina spoke so well to in terms of having that freedom to carve out your curriculum. But that is one difference, that we have some requirements, Smith does not. Our housing systems are quite different. So Christina described the residential life system there. At Mount Holyoke, we have 21 residence halls. We do have students from all class years living together as well, which is nice, but students move every year rather than sort of find affinity and connection to a house. And I may not be describing it right, but that's one way that we also are a little different. We have something called living and learning communities at Mount Holyoke, which are, the acronym is called LLCs. And those are like identity and affinity interest-based housing that students can opt into, sometimes related to activities students are into, again, based on identity, whatever it might be. But housing is a little different. Our campuses are a little different. I think Northampton's a bigger town than South Hadley, where we are. So it very much, I think, to our students at Mount Holyoke feels like South Hadley is Mount Holyoke. Whereas I don't know that Smith students would say that, right? I think Northampton's a big part of Smith, but there's also, it's a little bit bigger. It's got a little bit bigger downtown and so on. Those are some of the things that come to mind. But again, I would end before I toss it to Christina, because I think there are a few other differences you may want to highlight, Christina, that you should visit both, or if you can't visit in person, check us both out. You know, like, it's really about which one's going to feel more like home to you. And at the end of the day, everyone who's helping you make a college decision, even those of us on the admission side, that's what we want for you. Like, we want every student to feel like they'll end up someplace that really feels like they belong in. So Christina, what do you think?
No, yeah, I totally echo that. I think that was a fabulous overview, and it is such a common question. I think that, yeah, I don't even really know what else I would say as the specific differences, because I just think that you're so right that that's the work of parsing out where you want to go to college and where you want to spend this time. I think, and it is so true, at any college fair or at any moment, it is, oh, Smith, I think Mount Holyoke is over there too. I think you should go check them out. If you're considering Smith, consider Mount Holyoke, and it's different too, the two of us, right? Because we are connected. Come to Smith, take a class at Mount Holyoke. Come to Mount Holyoke, take a class at Smith. So I really do think that it is a incredible group to be a part of, the sisters. I think that there's something so special and so historic about what it means to be at these institutions. And so if you're here, I can imagine that you're considering a women's college, and I would just encourage you to continue down that path and to visit, like Katarina said, because I do think it is, yeah, so much of this comes down to a gut feeling, which I know feels tough because but there is no clear answer. So I would just say that as my addition to it, but really truly echo everything that you said.
So before I start reading questions from our audience, I'm going to throw you first, Christina, the question of why go to a women's college? What are the advantages, the benefits? Go for it.
Yeah, I did not go to Smith and I did not go to a women's college. And so I like to start off by saying, being here for some time, what a true joy it has been to meet the women that are studying here, everyone who is a Smithy, the people that I work with. I think that you leave a women's college with an incredible confidence to move around the world. Something special happens in college in general. 4 years is a long time to grow and to learn about yourself and about the world and your place in it. And I think to be a part of a place that was created with you specifically in mind, to create an environment where there is no question if you belong or not, creates an opportunity for you to feel that confidence in every space that you are in. Our dean often talks about how some pushback about a women's college is that the world is co-ed, right? And that's true, that is true, but why not spend such an incredibly formative time somewhere where you are supported in every facet of who you are. And so I think that that feels to me like a main reason to consider a women's college, who you are studying with, who you are supported by, in your professors, in your staff. I think that that is something really unique about the power of a women's college. So yeah, I think that that's how I would give a general plug.
Katerina, you have more plugs?
Yes, this is what we do. Well, first off, I'm going to put a link in the chat, which is, I just grabbed it from our site, but it is ridiculously long. So I apologize. I don't know why it didn't make it shorter, but either way, it's to a page that's on our site that's like, why women's college? Okay. And I promise not to read from it now, but anyone who's listening, if they want to peruse it later, I would recommend it. I would echo what Christina has said. That's usually my first answer is, this is an incredible opportunity. It's going to feel different than, I just want to acknowledge and sort of say, right? Because when I talk to high school students, it's not unusual for students. There are some students who are sort of like not questioning that option at all or that choice, but there are many students who are like, I'm not sure, or none of my friends are applying to women's colleges or the sisters. And I say, yes, you're likely making a choice most of your peers are not. And you are going to graduate a better version of who you are. Like truly, it is a transformative experience. I like to sort of describe it though, that there's not really, sometimes families ask me, how is it that people sort of become the leaders, right? Our graduates become the future leaders of tomorrow, the change makers that the world needs at this time, now more than ever. Because I think we also need to do a hat tip to, I think, the incredible work we do, the sisters all together in terms of being passionate advocates for social justice and activism and truly representing, I think, sort of all the important issues of today. So anyway, but how is it that students end up being the, hopefully the confident, impactful leaders that they're going to be in the world? And I say, it's like the whole experience of going to school. There's not sort of one moment in class, right? But this is a learning environment and a community that is designed to empower you, to give you space and voice, to challenge you, to take you outside of your comfort zone, both in terms of trying new things in the classroom, outside of the classroom, encouraging you to take on new challenges through hands-on learning, internships, study abroad, learning abroad, all of these things that collectively, I think, carve out what I like to describe as the best version of who you are meant to be. And we're not interested in graduating all of the same, right? We celebrate uniqueness and diversity heartily, but we are interested in helping each student cultivate their talents, and maybe some of which are unknown to them, and really grow during that time. Professors of course, at our schools are 50-50 if we're lucky, because that's not the case actually in most colleges, right? In terms of male-female representation, but the culture of the space, right? So you are interacting in co-ed spaces at times, but the culture of Mount Holyoke and Smith, I would venture to say, and I think the sisters, is one where, you know, what you say matters, not what you say as a woman, right? Like that's just something that's removed from the equation, which truly doesn't exist in other parts of the world. Like, and I will just go back to something Christina said a moment ago, which is you have this short period of time in your life. It's a really like pivotal time where you're growing a lot, learning a lot about yourself. And I think to choose a women's college environment, it truly life-changing, you know, for the rest of your life. And I think I will just underscore something that Christina mentioned at the top of our talk, which was the community, like after graduation, right? That network that you're connected to forever, not just your own alma mater, but as a women's college graduate, as a sister graduate, you are connected to those graduates for life. And there are so many doors that open up as a function of that, professionally and otherwise. So a wonderful lifelong network. So those are some of the things that come to mind.
So I said I was going to go on to the questions from the audience, but first I want to, you made me think about your alumni and how active they are in helping students when they're looking for jobs or in mentoring or anything else, fundraising.
Yeah, so at Smith, our alum are incredibly active. We just met with our alum during their reunion just a few weeks ago, I think, and they come, they stay in the houses, they love Smith. I have never seen people who love their college more. It was truly incredible, honestly. But we have different clubs all over the country and all over the world. So they're always going to be wherever your closest club is, right? The Smith Club in Boston or the Smith Club in New York, something like that. The Smith Club in Paris, and these groups come together and meet, and they're basically talking about how do we support our current Smithies and our Smithies who are also alum. And so there is definitely good connection for internships, for jobs, in addition to general encouragement too, which I think is a different sort of aspect that we don't usually think about of what is offered by an alumni network, because there's something really unique about people who are just willing to check in on our students, to congratulate them for graduating, congratulate them on the first day of school, on the last day of school, to be a part of the experience. So I would say that they are definitely a part of the process. And once you graduate, you're grafted right into that community, and that lasts a lifetime.
Katerina, the same?
Yes, the same. I would add that our alums, and this is likely the case for Smith as well, come back and sit on many panels. So in terms of like career, visioning, and really helping our current students, right, sort of craft their own paths, and obviously opening doors through internships and so on. And then we have an alum stay program where if you find an internship somewhere in the world, it could be in the US or abroad, and one of the options for housing is that you stay with an alum. I mean, it's really incredible. So our alums give back in many, many ways. They do the things that make our students feel like they're part of something much bigger, like a much bigger legacy, right? Like in terms of coming back for reunions and and supporting our students, but then they also show up, right? Like they do the things that I think make our students feel like, yes, they helped me find a job. They connected me with someone, who gave me an internship, and think, sort of in terms of the outcome piece. So yeah, fiercely loyal, I would say, for both schools.
Very nice. Okay, now I'm going to take some of the questions that other people have. So in terms, you mentioned, both of you, that a great number of students are on receiving financial aid. Are either of you need blind, or are you need aware, or do you give much institutional support as opposed to just loans?
Yeah, so we are need conscious, but we are moving toward the path of need blind. I would know in the financial aid piece that Smith just launched this past fall our no loans policy. And so as opposed to being packaged federal student loans as a part of your aid award from Smith, we've replaced all of that with Smith grants. So that is in part due to our wonderful president, who was a first-generation college student herself and has a true dedication to walking alongside students in this process of paying for college, which is no small feat. And so that is definitely something to celebrate, which always is nice to mention in this financial aid piece. So need conscious, but moving in the path of need blind.
And Holyoke?
Yes, we are need conscious or need sensitive as well. We do package loans at this point. But we meet full need and offer, apart from the loan piece, very competitive financial aid packages. So, and are really interested in having conversations about the affordability. So I think it is really important to think about, when we talk about crafting a diverse class, like what does that mean in practice, right? In terms of what we offer our students. So yeah, we have grants, loan, work study. That's how we package for need-based. And we also have a merit scholarship program that's separate from need.
Merit scholarships.
Yeah, merit scholarships, right? So that's students with need or without need are all considered for merit. It's really a function of distinguishing the most competitive students in our pool, those who are, the most high achieving with merit scholarships, which range from $15,000 a year to full tuition. And again, that's working in tandem as far as the packaging, right? So for some families who have need, that need could be fulfilled with grant, or it could be that student also gets a merit scholarship by virtue of how competitive they are in our pool.
Great. Let's see. Okay, here's the social life question. So I think the first thing that comes to mind for a lot of kids is there are no boys, there's no social life. And I expected this question. I'm sure you did too. So let's go with, what does a typical weekend look like, and where do these girls meet guys? Either one of you. Okay, go for it. One of you.
I mean, I feel like I've spoken quite a bit, so I was letting.
Okay, Christina?
Yeah, no, I'm happy to share. I think that an incredible part of the 5 College Consortium is that, yes, Mount Holyoke and Smith are women's colleges, but you have other campuses where you can meet anybody. And so a lot of times students, I will say that I don't think that a lot of students are, when you come to Smith, you are an incredible community of women. And I don't know how often people are really missing the boys. And I think that is something really special, but there's plenty of time to meet with people who you are interested in knowing on the weekends, or taking the bus to UMass or going to any sort of event. But students really do spend a lot of time in Northampton. Like Katarina mentioned, it is definitely a part of the beauty of Smith, our connection to and commitment to the community that we find ourselves in. And so there are definitely a lot of opportunities to meet people outside of the Smith community through those different avenues.
I would add just a few things. First off, there are co-ed experiences, right, in the classroom because of the 5 College Consortium, whether it means on your home campus or you take a class off campus. So if you're thinking about like, where would you meet if you were looking, if you were looking to meet guys, like purposefully, you could do that certainly in the classroom. You could do that socially on any given weekend. our students might go to a movie. We have a little movie theater right across the street. We have a coffee shop, but there's also a big Cineplex, a bus right away or a car right away. Our students could, go to a play or a show at one of the other campuses or in the area. They might just go grab ice cream or coffee and hang out with friends. I think the way that I like to describe the social life is that there's actually everything that you might think is fun is in the 5 college area. It's just that neither of our schools have one way that we define social life, like on the weekend, right? Like some schools identify themselves as like a type in terms of like, this is how students spend their Friday and Saturday night consistently. And I think, at Mount Holyoke, it ranges. So we have students who really like going to parties, and we have some students who don't. And then we have some who don't do it all the time because they don't feel like it. And there's not that sort of pressure that's like how fun is had. But we have many students, who are interested in dating, and they may be, and that's going to run the gamut in terms of who they're looking to date and what kind of student and so on. And that happens, all the time, on our campuses. So it's a question of like how students want to define it. And I think our students really like that there's not sort of one path, that has to be the way to spend every Friday night.
Right. Okay, so could you tell me a little bit about your career services? We have a question about job placement here.
Yeah, so we have our Lazarus Center of like our career center, and we have different people who you can meet with. We have additionally, I want to mention our Praxis program, and that is our internship finder and funder program. So all students, the budget is allotted for all students being able to do it. So it's not like you're applying and competing for it. If you want it, you've got it. And you will be encouraged to get it. And so I think that is really imperative in the job search, job path, career, vocation pursuit, because we do offer so many opportunities to gain that experience and to try different things. But our center is often bringing in different people, right? Alum from different fields, and really creating those connections so students are able to dip their toe in all sorts of career paths along in our open curriculum. They're also able to try a myriad of different things as they are sort of moving along that path, and the Lazarus Center is walking alongside of them pretty much every step of the way to create opportunities for support in all different avenues.
I would talk about the fact that we try to scaffold the idea that students should be thinking about what they're learning in the classroom and how that might tie into what they will do, right, all along, right? So everything, it sort of happens in stages like anything else. If you're first year, you're not thinking about like, what's my job going to be when I'm a senior, but maybe you're making sure your cover letter and your resume are good, that you're doing your interview prep workshops, that you're starting to think about that first summer. What are you going to do that first summer, and so on. So those, the kinds of workshops we offer are just building on developmentally on the experience to get students ultimately to use their summers productively and to maybe rule out things that they don't like to do that they thought they did, or rule them in. We do have, our seniors, we survey them 6 months after graduation every year. So the majority end up at work or in graduate school immediately after. So it's like 95, 96%, 6 months after graduation are working or in graduate school. The majority of our students actually go straight to do like a year or two of work and then apply to graduate school. A quarter go straight to grad school. Within 10 years, 75% have advanced degrees. So, graduate school is in the future of most of our graduates, but it's for our students, obviously for any student, the graduate program is like so specialized, right? So we always want students to make sure that, they're figuring that out. at the right time for themselves. But yeah, lots of really successful stories. Graduate programs, the top, tier 1 research institutions across the board love our graduates. And I will, say the same about Smith. Women's college graduates are more than ready for graduate study and the world of work. And the world knows that. So I think we have really impressive outcomes in terms of like where are students getting into grad school, their medical programs, the law programs, the world of work.
So here's a fun question. Can you tell us about some of the school traditions?
Yes, I was hoping you were going to ask about
it. Okay.
But clearly I was super excited. I should mute myself and let Christina go because I just
Who wants to start?
So I'll start. We have a lot of fun traditions at Smith. Let's see, where can I even start? Well, one, it's not necessarily like a special day, but we have weekly teas in all of the houses. That is something that has been happening from the beginning of Smith. So on a Friday or whenever I guess you choose to do it, your entire house is coming together for a cup of tea, for some snacks, and that is a true staple of the Smith experience. But we do have some pretty fun days. One to mention is Mountain Day, and the president sort of just picks a random day. I mean, how random can it really be? But a random day in the fall where class gets canceled. And so then the college bells ring and the students run out from their houses and their apple cider donuts. Students go to pick apples at an orchard, just hang out, sleep all day if you want, just a day to rest and celebrate and relax. Our graduation just happened recently, and there are a ton of wonderful traditions that come along with that sort of weekend of celebration. We have Illumination Night, which I think is something that is really special that I was able to sort of experience for the first time this past couple of weeks. And it is just a time where students sort of come all together just to celebrate and to light up this entire campus and just celebrate the fact that they have accomplished something so incredible in a place so special with so many people who are so dear to them. And one other day that I would also note is our rally day, which is where our students sort of just like celebrate deciding their major and just really come together as a part of what they're studying and what they're hoping for in their life. So we have just these special days that are filled with lots of snacks, lots of activities, and they really do, they are the things that sort of bring us from, the long days of studying and working and all of the things that they have to do. So we have a lot of fun things going on at Smith.
Well, you saw me nodding because we have some similar traditions, right? So we have Mountain Day as well. We climb our namesake, Mount Holyoke, which is an actual mountain, 10 minutes from campus, and have ice cream at the top because you're probably hearing that, what would a good tradition be without food? A lot of traditions involve yummy food or ice cream. Some others that I'll mention is there is an incredible sense of community tied into our class colors and our class mascots. So every class here at Mount Holyoke has a class color and a class mascot, much like Harry Potter, except we came before the J.K. Rowling series. And students really, there's a lot of spirit surrounding that, like at our convocation, which is our year opening pep rally. Everyone wears their class color, and the seniors wear their robes for the first time, but they decorate it like super crazy. Another tradition I'll mention is our MNCs, which is our nightly study break. So MNCs originally stood for milk and cookies. Back in the day, there would be milk and cookies every night. Now there are options, obviously dairy-free options and sugar-free options, right? There's always a snack, but the idea is that every residence hall has a study break, 9 o'clock school nights. And it builds community, it gets folks out of their room. Maybe it helps with procrastination, but the idea behind a lot of what you're hearing as far as traditions is connection, community, celebration. And, some of these date back hundreds of years or more. So, you're part of something bigger, again, as part of that legacy I was talking about. So, and you get yummy snacks a lot of the time.
You get yummy snacks. So could you give a little description of the kind of student that you're looking for, or the kind of student who thrives in your institutions? Christina.
Yeah, I think that this is also a super common question. And I think that I always like to start out by saying that we are not looking for one type of person. That would be so crazy. I think that I am really thankful for the hard work that it is to go on this path of creating a class of people who will be the next Smith community. We want people who have a variety of different interests, a variety of different areas of expertise, which I think in high school you all probably already do have areas in which that's your thing. We want to hear about those things and see them reflected in the activities that you have done and the things that you're passionate about. I will say to Katarina's point before, Smithies are change makers, and they are advocates and activists, and they are often pushing to those uncomfortable conversations and those moments where you have to make hard choices and stand for what is right, which I think can be an environment that is intimidating to some. So it feels important to note, just because I think that that thread is common throughout all of our Smithies and the people who really come to love and cherish our community. Not to say if that's not your thing that you wouldn't thrive, but I think that that's something really special that we often see. More generally, in the name of our application process, we are looking for students who have studied well and who have created sort of challenge for themselves in their high school context. We want to see that you are committed to your education because you are coming to Smith to continue that and to develop it and to really blossom it. So yeah, I think that those are some of the things that I would say, and I'm sure that there will also be some overlap. So I'll let you, Katarina, fill in some of that as well.
Yes, I would echo the academic preparation piece, the rigor. You may not love every subject. That would make you pretty normal, right? So, but what do you love to learn, and what gets you fired up intellectually? So our applicants typically are very intellectually curious, again, across the board in terms of where their passions lie. But students who apply to Mount Holyoke, are already, the front row learners, the students who do, really want to challenge themselves. Apart from that I think that there's a certain boldness to making this choice, and let me elaborate on it briefly, because sometimes one thinks of boldness as sort of like a very outward energy, and like you're bold, you're making this choice in a very sort of overt way. And I think that there are some students who may be naturally more introverted, but feel ready to make this choice and feel like they're ready to, again, spend the 4 years and really challenge themselves and, give themselves this amazing opportunity. And they may not be the most sort of loud voice in the room, but, that there's a seed there, sometimes unactualized, that students have, that like in terms of what they're bringing to the table. And that's exciting. It's always exciting to see those transformations when students come and are able to develop, over the course of time. So I would say bold, again, in the broadest sense of the word, and intellectually curious. And I just want to add one more thing, if I may, Jill. I'll promise to wrap up in like 30 seconds, which is, this idea that, we do have a lot of students who are change makers and activists, absolutely. And we have some students who aren't into that, or don't yet know, right? Like what thing they're going to want to speak up for. But yet they know they're looking for an environment where they're surrounded by people that will inspire them to find out. And that is another type of our student. So that's important, right? Not everybody sort of figured it out by the time they're 17. But if you're looking for an environment that will cultivate, again, your own seeds of interest and goals for the future, whatever that might be, and you may not even know that yet, then we offer that environment.
Well, both of you inspired me. I want to go back to college. So thank you both so much. I know this is a busy time of year for everyone, and we appreciate it. So the best way for students to get more information is online.
For sure, yeah. I mean, I'm sure we have robust websites. You can Google. If there is something that you want to speak with me directly about, I'll pop my email into the chat.
Great, that's terrific.
And please, if there's something you can't find online or you want to connect to students, we're open for visits starting in a week and a half. So that's exciting for the summer season. So we're back up with tours and information sessions and all of that. And we offer some of those virtually too. We have virtual information sessions. So
I don't want to be virtual. I want to go to
well, not everybody can come in person.
Yeah.
So.
Well, thank you both so much, and have a great evening.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Bye.